everyone, welcome back. My name is Suni and I'm the maker behind ippeun here on YouTube, also available on Instagram and Ravelry with the same username. We are on to episode 6. It's been a couple weeks since the last episode and I would have put off filming this for one more week or so, but I had a lot of acquisitions, so I'm just gonna get it out there and film this before I make too much progress on anything else and it gets a little overwhelming. So no measurement picture this time. Instead, it will be linked down in the description. It'll be the Imgur link, but I'll label it as, my measurements. And if you are curious about how things fit on my body and how they might fit on yours, you can check that out. And if anything doesn't make sense, you can either comment or DM me on Instagram. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So same format, what I'm wearing, recently finished, works in progress, and then acquisitions/future projects. So what I'm wearing, can you see? Here we go. I'm wearing my honeycomb sweater, or honeycomb aran, and it's a sweater which is designed by Gail Bunn for Patons or Yarn Inspirations, and I made this in size medium with Big Twist Soft in the, I think it's just called red colorway. It's a 100% acrylic yarn, and I normally don't like acrylic yarn for many reasons, but especially not for clothing and garments. But the reason why this is made in that yarn is because this is the first sweater I ever made. I had made a lot of scarves, hats, and I think maybe gloves before actually starting to finally make a sweater. And I think I was on a cable kick, so I saw this pattern, I saw that it was free, and at the time, I didn't buy any of my own needles. I only had knitting needles that were handed down to me from, I'm not sure exactly where from, but we had it in my house, and so that was my only resource to use. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to spend any money on stuff like that. Look at me now, But, so, I picked this pattern because it had cables, it was pretty, it was free, and it was knitted flat, which, because I didn't have any circular needles at the time, this was the only thing I could do. So, considering I made it, I think, last fall-ish, and I've worn it a lot, and also chucked in the washer and dryer a lot, I think it's held up pretty well. It has pilled, I don't know how well it shows up, but yeah, you can kind of see the fuzzy bits. But I'm not too upset about it. I don't really see the need to shave it, honestly. I might, but it's fine. You can still see the cable as well, and it's pretty good. And there are, 6 sizes for this pattern, ranging from extra small to 5XL, although I think they kind of group the sizes for extra small, small, then medium, large, extra large, 2XL, 3XL, 4XL, 5XL. So that's how they kind of group it up. But so it's provided for a bust size from 71 centimeters or 28 inches up to 157.5 centimeters or 62 inches. And the actual finished garment will have a bust size ranging from 101.5 centimeters or 40 inches up to 157.5 centimeters or 62 inches. So I liked it. It's quite a bit oversized, which I like. I love oversized sweaters, and this is great. I do really like the pattern, and I am kind of tempted to make another version with a better yarn that I do like, but again, this is super comfortable, and because I know that it's a cheap yarn, I'm a lot more okay with wearing it, doing kind of whatever, so it's kind of nice in that regard. I don't really know if I need another one, especially because I have so many other projects I want to work on, but we'll see. Maybe one day, a few years from now, not sure. And now on to recently finished objects. So, first one I cannot show because I do not have it. It was a gift and it is no longer in my possession. But I will put pictures here. And also link, obviously, to everything that I mentioned. We'll have a link to how to buy it, a link to the designer's Instagram, and then a link to my Ravelry project page. Yes, but so, I made the Perfect Knit t-shirt, which is a design by Kaitlin barthold. I made that for my mom for her birthday, and I made it in a size medium, and it ended up being kind of cropped with shorter sleeves than the pattern recommends. There are 9 sizes, extra small to 5XL, and it provides a finished bust measurement of 81 centimeters or 32 inches up to 162.5 centimeters or 64 inches. And so I think I mentioned this a couple episodes back about when I was talking about upcoming knitting plans. I had my family members all fill out forms of like what kind of things they preferred to receive as handmade gifts, and also my mom just kind of came in and felt all the yarn that I had in my stash, and she really liked the feeling of mohair, so I used what I was initially using for, I think, Area Essential, I think, which I mentioned a long time ago as a work in progress, and I haven't worked on since then, so I just undid that, used the yarn for my mom's this knit t-shirt, and based it off of the measurements of a garment that she did like to make sure I got the sizing right. And then I ran out of yarn. I think you can pretty much tell in the picture a decent way through the body. It would have been absurdly cropped if I ended it there, and I was really conflicted about what to do. But I actually went to a yarn shop, more on this later in the acquisition section, and they had mohair. They only had, I think, maybe 2 types of mohair there, two brands, but I saw one that was blue, and I was like, it's not an exact match, but it's close enough that I think I could kind of, sort of, transition into it. So I bought 3 balls of that, and I used it to finish off the t-shirt. And it's the isager silk mohair. The rest of the body was knit with along avec silk mohair in celadon. That's the colorway. And then the isager silk mohair was in the sky colorway. And I know the isager yarn has technically a lower silk content compared to the along avec mohair, but it is so much softer, and it does feel like silky. Not necessarily as much in the ball. Both of them feel like, mohair, although I do think the isager, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm just realizing, but the isager silk mohair, it does feel soft in the ball, but then when you feel the knitted garment that it creates, or the knitted fabric, it just feels silky. Like, that's the only way you can describe it. Silky and a little bit soft, a little bit fuzzy. It's wonderful. I was a little conflicted working with the along avec mohair for the majority of the body, or the t-shirt, because it was nice. It was relatively soft and, squishy. I was holding it double throughout the entire thing. But it wasn't incredibly, wow factor, and it was shedding a lot. I wore black leggings one time when I was working on it, and it was massive. It was bad. So because of that, it didn't feel like it was really worth it to use mohair, and I understand that usually holding something double with mohair can help it prevent it from pilling, which, obviously that's really nice, but just feeling it, I was not really impressed. But then when I used the isager silk mohair, it clicked, that mohair is pretty expensive. I think it was like $16, 16 something for 125 gram ball, which is hefty price. But it's the most beautiful mohair I've ever used, and I've only used 3, to be honest. So the long avec the isager silk mohair, and then knitting for olive silk mohair, but that was a while ago, and I don't have any leftover, so I can't say particularly how much I liked it. I remember I was okay with it, but I wasn't that impressed. So I think so far the isager wings top, then knitting for olive, then along avec Yes, I know the Drops Kid Silk mohair, I think, is pretty popular too, but I also don't think it's that especially soft, so I don't imagine it would beat either knitting for olive or isager silk mohair. I think it might beat along avec in my personal rankings just because of the price, but in terms of quality and what I actually enjoy working with, I can't imagine any mohair being better than isager, unless it's the same quality but just cheaper. Anyways, that was a lot for a garment that I can't even show you in person. So moving on to the next finished object. which I mentioned last episode as a work in progress, and I was able to finish it. So this is my Santa baby shrug, completed. And you can tell I added the ruffle and I decided to do this really pretty sort of pastel baby pink. My sister helped me decide. I was not sure about this color, but she really assured me that it was a good choice. And I'm glad I went with it because I really do love it. So this is, as I mentioned last episode, a made to measure pattern. So it can really work for whatever measurements and whatever yarn you use. I did what I believe is a sport fingering weight, kind of somewhere around there. So the main color, or the main yarn I used, is Brighton Beach in the Golden Star Show colorway, and then the pink accent color is the leftovers I had of avec on a merino. Yes, avec on a merino. And I forget the colorway, but I'll have it on the side, and also it'll be in my Ravelry project page notes. But yes, I love this. The Brighton Beach is a linen cotton blend, and I think some other stuff mixed in too. But so it has an incredible drape. I think my problem with crochet garments before, which I didn't really like, was because I wasn't using a yarn that had a special amount of drape to them. So I wasn't doing a whole lot of cotton or linen yarns for, well, I just didn't really use a whole lot of cotton and linen yarns in general for a while. So I wasn't really liking how they fit, but because cotton and linen has such good drape for the fabric whenever you work it up, whether it's knitting or crochet, this is just beautiful. It drapes really nicely, it fits well, and it's so pretty to wear. I'm not a huge shrug bolero person. This is the first time I've ever actually worn any of that, but it's amazing. I love it. And the pattern is out if you want to check it out. Again, it'll be linked down in the description. Really lovely pattern, super simple, super easy, and really fast. Highly recommend it. I recommend it so much, in fact, that I can attest to it by showing that I am currently working on a second version in black. So, oh, it's a little difficult to see, isn't it? Yes. This is, I think, maybe 2.5 days worth, maybe 2 days worth of progress, because I was at a conference and I would have worked on the present for my mom, but she was sitting right next to me, so this is what I worked on when I had nothing else to do. And I was knitting this up in Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn in black, and I am using, for the first time, a cone. It looks a little small, that's because it's all in here. I have the front and back done, and I started a little bit of the sleeve, but this is going on the back burner while I work on test and give knits again. But yes, I wanted to make a black version because I think I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I saw, maybe last episode, in some video, I have no idea where from, he was wearing like a black bolero shrug type thing. I cannot for the life of me figure out what I saw and track down the video again, but I swear it happened, and I swear that's where I got the inspiration from. But regardless, I'm making a black version. I'm not sure if I want to do the ruffles because I kind of like it just as black, and I don't know if black with black ruffle will be kind of like, I don't know, a little strange looking. And then next up for works in progress is a little bit more progress made on something that I mentioned last episode. So this is the Sporty Knit Skort, and it's a pattern by Florence Miller, or Handmade by Florence, on Instagram, and she also has a knitting podcast which you've probably seen or at least heard of. And I am making this in Drops Soft Tweed in the 8 or Peppercorn colorway, which is the same color that she used for her kind of cold weather winter version. I really like it. I mentioned some complaints about how like the thin areas, the thinly spun parts of the yarn can be a little aggravating to work with, just because if you pull it then it can get undone. But it's not too bad, and I haven't really had problems working with it while I'm actually knitting up the skirt itself. And I have finished the third set of increases, and I think a little bit past there, just knitting in pattern. So I mentioned last episode that I would be doing a decent amount of modifications, and besides the fact that I'm starting with the skirt and not with the waistband, the other main modification is that I am doing more increases and more frequently. So it's going to be the same length skirt, but since they wanted it more of a circle skirt, it's going to, have more increases. And also, I wanted the increases to be, because you can see it's just knit and purls, kind of like ribbing. In the original pattern, the knit stitch section kind of stays straight the entire way down, and the only increases are done for the purling in between that. I kind of wanted the knits to increase as well, so I would be doing, I think, 2 or 3 increases for that section. Again, we'll see. I'm kind of just doing it as I go, but so for making good progress. But this is another thing that will kind of go on hold while I'm working on test and gift knits. I was originally hoping to have this done by the end of November. I'm not sure. We'll see. I was originally thinking it wasn't possible, but I am making an absurd amount of progress on one of my test knits, so maybe it is. And now for my last work in progress. It is a very fun jumper to look at. This is my test knit. The only test knit I have going on right now, actually, which is great because I was working on like 3 or 4 tests at the same time at one point, so a nice change of pace. This is what I have so far of my Gemini jumper. The ribbing is getting hidden, but yes, it's a bottom-up jumper by Annie, who is This Bird Knits over on Instagram. I am knitting the second size. There are 12 sizes, 1 through 12, and it provides a finished bust measurement of 104 centimeters or 41 inches up to 179 centimeters or 70.25 inches. And it does recommend to have at least 5 to 10 inches of positive ease. And I'm using the same yarn that she used, which is Wool of the Andes 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And the 2 colors I'm using is hyacinth, which is the blue color, and then white, which is the white. The hyacinth, actually, when I first looked at it, it looks like it was just perfectly indigo. Like it was a medium dark blue purple, but then as I'm knitting it up, it looks sometimes more blue, which I find very interesting. But very pretty yarns. They're not quite as soft as I was hoping. Maybe they'll soften up as it's worn and as it's washed. I don't mind it too much of wearing it only over other things, but I really would prefer to be able to wear it next to skin, because while I don't necessarily have skin sensitivity in the fact that like my skin doesn't break out or get physically irritated, it's like mental, emotionally, I can get really like irritable, or just the vibes aren't right. But it is a lot of fun to work up, and the pattern is very interesting. I kept like not liking it as I was working on it, and then I would just like look at it from afar again and be like, wow, this is actually really pretty. And I also like it from the wrong side. I think it looks really cool that way too. So that's the right side, this is the wrong side. You can see they're a little bit different. I'm hoping to maybe be able to find some way so that I can wear it both ways, but I'm not sure exactly how the armhole area would look inside out, or the neckline. See when I get there. And the kind of inspiration I had for the color palette was sort of those like, I don't know if this like the china plates painted dark blue, like some sort of like setting or scenery. I kind of wanted to do something like that. Those colors I don't think completely match it, but I'm not too mad because I do really like the colors anyways. And that is all for works in progress. Acquisitions, I mentioned there's a decent amount. Yes, my storage space and wallet both agree that it was a decent amount of yarn bought. So I went on a trip with my mom to DC and Bethesda and visited 2 yarn shops. The first shop was in DC, and it is Loop's Yarn Works. And I mainly went there because I heard that they were a stockist for fully spun yarn, which I mentioned last episode, 2 episodes ago, but that I really liked the owner, the brand, whatever, the maker, and wanted to get some more yarn. So I got at a fiber festival I went to not too long ago a skein from Fully Spun Yarn in the Transgender Pride colorway. At Loop Yarn Works, I was able to find 2 skeins in the Pansexual Pride colorway. So they only had 2, and I was like, this is a sign. I'm going to grab both of them. And these are some bold colors, like you can see. Yeah, both of them are just so it's got an incredible amount of blue, pink, yellow, green. It's nuts. Although I think the green is more just from blending the yellow and blue together, not necessarily green, because that's not in their official colors. But so this is in a fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I'm not sure what to do with these, I'm going to be honest. I did not buy them with a plan in mind, which is usually very against how I just do things. I usually buy yarn for a specific purpose. I just really wanted this yarn. So I got it. That is the first purchase. Also from Loop Yarn Works, I bought the isager silk mohair, which can't show you, it's all used up, which is a little bit of a shame because I really like that yarn. But one day maybe, if I can justify spending that much on mohair, I'll get some again and pair it with something. But final thing I got is, and this was a surprise because I did not know that they sold this, even though I checked the website, so I should have seen, Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. And I bought it in the colorway Bark. I bought 5 balls of this because that was what I would need to make a Over It Slipover by Lily Kate France. I found her on YouTube through her knitting podcast, and I watched the episode where she talks about her design for the Over It Slipover, and I was like, that is beautiful. That's a beautiful slipover. Really had trouble figuring out what color yarn to get because they had a decent selection and a lot of like very similar, like browns, tans, neutrals. It was tough. My mom thankfully helped me decide. So when I am able to, hopefully soon, I don't know, I'm a little tempted. I keep looking at this and like, I want to make the Over It Slipover so bad. It's so cute, and it's the design, the silhouette is just beautiful, and I feel like it works really well for fall. And it's already getting cold, so it kind of feels like I need to like make it ASAP. I don't know. But those are all the things I bought from Loop Yarn Works. Again, in DC. There's a decent selection, and they had like a nice Knitting for Olive selection. They had the heavy merino, the merino, I think the cotton merino, and a decent amount of colors for each. They also had some spin cycle yarns, again the isager silk mohair, and I think Bichon Bouche, La Bien Aimée, a decent amount of indie dyed yarn as well, which was really nice. And then the second yarn shop I went to was Second Story Knits, which is in Bethesda, Maryland, and I got 2 things from there. It's the second because I went to it after the other one, which is also why I didn't buy as much, because I was very conscious of how much I had already spent. So, first thing I bought is this really pretty sock yarn. This is Variations Superwash Fingering, so 75% superwash Australian merino and then 25% nylon. Can you see? I feel like it looks a little bit lighter in camera than it does in person, because like it looks darker than this sweater, but it's like a dark maroon burgundy. I don't know, it's just almost like a blood red. It's so pretty, and it has this really amazing like depth of color. It's incredible. I'm obsessed with it. I kind of was thinking about making another pair of couture socks with this, but because it is a dark yarn, I'm not sure if it would just feel like it's wasting the pattern. Should I just do ribbing, another lacing? I don't know. And then last thing is this, which is Juniper Moon Farm Cumulus. And this is a 94% cotton, 6% nylon, and the colorway is 16 White Lion. I picked this because as I was walking around this store, someone had like put it, I don't know, out of place on some table, and I just like touched it because I was curious, and it was so soft. So when I saw the shelves where the rest of these were stored, I gave it to temptation and I bought one skein. And this is another rare occurrence of me buying something and not knowing what to make with it. It's so soft. I kind of want to do something like maybe like, I was initially thinking maybe a cowl or a hat, but because it's white, maybe not a cowl because I don't want to like get stuff on it, like either like makeup or food or like anything. I'm a little worried about that, but it's so soft and it's so nice. I just really like it, and it's nice and squishy too. It feels incredible. If you haven't felt this before and you have the opportunity to, just like give it a little squish, give it a little stroke. It's incredible. I love it. I almost want to say it was the owner, but the worker who was there while I was shopping was very nice and very sweet. So if you were in the area, I would recommend checking it out. They have like a big selection too. Like, woo, all around the walls. There's just like lots of yarn. They had decent amount of normal yarn. They had a bunch of brands I hadn't heard of. They didn't have a whole lot of mohair, but they had like a bunch of wool, a bunch of cotton. It was incredible. Loved it. And I would like to go again, but when I can justify buying more yarn. So that is all for acquisitions. I'm just going to mention really quick upcoming projects because beyond the test knit that I'm currently working on, the Gemini jumper, I do have to start working on Christmas and birthday gifts. I mentioned before one of the birthday gifts I'm working on, still in progress. I kind of need the cable that I'm using for the test knit, so I'm going to try and finish the test knit first, speed through it, and then I can work on the birthday gift. And then other Christmas gifts, I'm planning out exactly what I want to make, but subject to change, though I think I've made up my mind for at least a few of them. But yes, I will be focusing on those, probably be at least another 2 to 3 weeks before I film another episode. I've been doing okay-ish, I think. I hope you all are too. And yeah, I will see you whenever I see you. I hope you had a good time listening, watching, if you managed to make it all the way through to the end. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever. And take care of yourselves. Bye bye.